You're late. You're gonna be famous.
He said give a good side.
Huh? Just shooting some videos. It's an automatic. Where are you headed? You're about ready? You're just getting it empty? Yeah, you got time. Okay. What are you looking for, an empty? Okay. I don't know. I haven't looked through them, so I'm not sure. It will be.
It is now. American muscle.
All right, sounds good. We'll talk.
Hey guys, Andy over at TRX Express here. Today we're going to talk about defensive driving. In our last video, we talked about aggressive driving. If you haven't had the chance to watch that, please go ahead and click on the link and watch it. What is a defensive driver? A defensive driver is a proactive driver, a person who diffuses a situation caused by an aggressive driver. Let's talk about space management. What is space management? Space management can be multiple things. You as a driver have to remember one thing, that you are a 40-ton vehicle that can easily squish a car and turn it into a pancake. So there's a couple things that you have to look for whenever you're driving. The distance, the cars that are in front of you, the speed limit, the road conditions. You also need to take in consideration that due to the fact that you are a big vehicle who normally hauls a trailer that is filled, takes a longer time for it to stop as opposed to a regular car. On average, it normally takes anywhere between 7 to 10 seconds for an actual tractor trailer to come to a complete stop. For example, let's go ahead and say we have a vehicle in front of us. Once that vehicle passes the sign, that's when you start counting. You always want to make sure that you give yourself at least 7 to 10 seconds. If you get there quicker, let's say in under 4 or 5 seconds, that means you're following too close. There's a lot of factors that come into play when you want to consider the distance between you and another vehicle, whether it's speed, what the traffic's like, or current weather. What you as a driver need to do is you need to increase the gap, or you need to increase the distance between yourself and the vehicle in front of you. A couple more things I wanted to talk to you guys about space management. Brake checking. Don't do it. It's not worth it. There's nothing good that's gonna come out of it. All you're gonna do is either wreck your equipment or end up hurting somebody in the process. So don't do it. Another major thing that drivers deal with nowadays is parking. Parking alone can be stressful, especially if it's during nighttime. So please try to avoid and don't park on any exits or entryways. Of course, you don't want to get hit, or you don't want to get injured or possibly get killed. Truck stops are another place where you need to be fully aware of your surroundings and where you park. Of course, try to avoid parking too close to people. Try to avoid parking next to scales because you don't want to get hit. Speaking of tight places and truck stops, your side mirrors, they're your best friend. They would help whenever you're backing in, whenever you're making a tight turn. Always want to keep an eye on, make sure you know where your trailer and your tractor is, so you don't end up hitting somebody or damage somebody else's property. Rush hour is one of the biggest ongoing issues with truck drivers. Whether it's 6, 7 o'clock in the morning or 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, drivers constantly have to fight and trying to get to whether it's the pickup or the delivery on time. Sometimes waiting out the traffic itself is easier as opposed to you having to go through traffic. Let's, for example, take a look. Let's pretend that you are in the city. You end up getting into an accident. By the time the police, the paperwork, the documentation arrives, everything gets settled. So by the time you're done with the actual accident, it takes longer for you to get to the place as opposed to you having to just wait it out. Which is why, in that case, you're just better off to waiting out the actual rush hour as opposed to having to go through it. However, we do understand that taking your time sometimes is not a luxury that we could afford. We sometimes have to just go through it. If that is the case, please be cautious. Take your time as you flow through traffic. Keep a safe distance between yourself and the vehicle in front of you. Always use the side mirrors. And remember, whenever you get there, you get there. And this brings us to our final bullet point for the day, guys. Situational awareness. What is situational awareness? Let's, for example, take a look at low clearance bridges. You always need to know where and which route you're taking and whether or not you have low clearance bridges. Why? Well, if you have a bridge that's low enough, you won't be able to fit. You won't be able to go through. Therefore, you need to look for alternative route. Another example would be speed limits, traffic signs, stop signs. Those are all things that you as a driver have to look ahead and know, understand, be able to read ahead of time. This way you could take your exit. You can, of course, obey the speed that is posted, and of course, have to come to a complete stop if needed, okay? A few other examples we can brush up on would be route signs, no truck signs, weight restriction signs. Those are all things important that you as a driver have to know. Of course, last thing you want to do is be in a route that is not a truck designated route, or you want to be heavy on a route that you're not supposed to. Then of course you are going to end up getting fined, or the company will end up getting fined. Another example would be speed. Of course, speed depends on the weather condition or the posted speed limit. Regardless, whether it's highway or city speed limit, please make sure you obey it. Just to sum everything up, please remember, try to remain as professional as possible. Be a role model to some of these drivers out there. Don't let certain situations get the best of you. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that you yourself go home to your family, and then you also want to make sure that the people around you are safe and sound and they get to go see theirs as well. We need to always remember and make sure that we hold ourselves accountable and liable for our actions. Our society is driven and moved by trucks. Let's behave like it. Please let us know if you've ever been in a situation where you kept your cool and you happened to diffuse a certain situation. We would love to hear it. Just go ahead and leave a comment down below. And as always, remember to like, share, subscribe. Till next time, take care, drive safe.